Heyo, my name is Sarah, and before getting into this video, I just want to say, we made it to 500 subscribers. Woo! Thank you to everyone that helped out with this, and let's just see if we can make it to 1,000. But for this video, we're going to do something a little bit special. It's going to be a review on both Cursed by Thomas Wheeler and Cursed, the TV show, first season. For the book, I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm just going to go straight into spoilers on this one. It is about a character named Nimue, who apparently is the Lady of the Lake, for this is a not only retelling, but a prequel of sorts to the Arthurian legend before Arthur gets his sword. So we're following Nimue, who somehow comes across the power of the sword, you know, Excalibur, but it's called the Devil's Tooth in this book. And her journey is that she has to deliver this sword to Merlin because there's a bunch of wars going on targeting the Fae, which she is, by people called the Red Paladins that work for the church, of course. And we also have the King Uther that's also dealing with his political struggles and not really helping out the Fae, but then we also have other kings from other kingdoms coming over, especially when they hear not only, you know, the sword is there, but they're trying to assert their legitimate claim to the throne. So, drama. Now, they refer to Nimue as cursed because she was attacked by a dark god or something, which I found very interesting because we live in a world with magic and she comes from a people of Fae kind. So that's always the thing where, like, you know, you live in a magic world and you already know magic, you accept the magic and everything, and y'all still think people who get touched by dark magic is a witch. I would think you would help her try to learn how to control it, accept it, become one with it, and not be afraid of it. That's just me, but that causes a whole bunch of problems for Nimue growing up. She gets the whole Naruto Uzumaki thing. And she meets Arthur because she tries to leave her home, but just, you know, missed boat, missed opportunity, look on the horizon kind of thing. And she meets Arthur, who happens to be a sellsword. I'm like, okay, let's see how we go with this. And every time we meet a character from the Arthurian legends, I'm thinking, you know, I know the historical inaccuracies were all over the place in this film, but I just keep thinking of King Arthur. It's still a good movie. I still enjoy it, but now that I'm older, it's like, wow, historical inaccuracies. But still, this book feels like it was made for a TV show because they jump around all kinds of characters. Some characters that are important, some that are dead within the next few pages, which kind of was jarring just a little bit, which I kind of was not a fan of, especially for the characters that really had no purpose except for the ones that were just showing what was happening around out of Nimue's point of view. One was we get a couple of point of views from King Uther with his struggles going around the court, but also of Merlin. And he's not doing so well. He's been around for like 7+ years, and you know that takes a toll on a person. And Uther's just struggling to keep his control over his kingdom. So again, drama. Nimue, I wasn't really a big fan of her character because first of all, she wasn't that good of a friend. Because one friend with her, when they were with Arthur, the friend was like, "We gotta get out of here," but Nimue kept pushing her luck, and not only got in a fight with Arthur's leader, Bors, not the same Bors that I know and love, but she also got noticed by some Red Paladins. Like, that's not a good friend. If your other friend's like being cautious and wants to go, you're like, no, let's stay a little bit longer. But she just felt very impulsive that I did not like. She just went into things without a plan, and I'm all for that, but usually it has to have some sort of a semblance of a plan, like escape. No, she just decided, like, you know, here's some Red Paladins, I'm gonna get my revenge on and just go kill them, even though she doesn't know how to use a sword properly, even though she has the sword. I'm just gonna keep calling it Excalibur because we know what it really is. But yeah, if it wasn't for Arthur, she would have probably been dead within like a first few chapters and everything of meeting some Red Paladins trying to get her revenge on. So I was like, Nimue, sweetie, you might want to think every once in a while. Now, after receiving some signs about what's going to happen, Merlin, he does start devising plans where politics do come in a lot, very trickery, but I feel like you're just jumping around that I don't see the point of. But for Merlin's first stop, he tries to gain some items to destroy the sword through the help of a person called the Widow, which I would like to see more because I felt like more character development right there. But no, she's just there to assist Merlin every now and again. And after tricking the Leper King and making an enemy out of him, he steals what's known as Fae Fire, which can obviously destroy the sword. So we have that. And the reason why Nimue is looking for Merlin is because that was her mom's last dying wish. So she, with her going to Merlin, Merlin has to get all these items to destroy the sword. He's like, I will destroy this one time and for all, blah, blah, blah. We get a POV of a character that I really wanted to see more of. And I'm very intrigued a lot because Arthur takes Nimue to go see someone for help. And that is Morgan, who in Arthurian Legends can go as Morgan and Morgana, and that is the sorceress. I'm sorry, but usually in some stories, Arthur and Morgana don't know that they're half siblings, and you know, my favorite saber of red comes into being. But with them already knowing that they're siblings, that could be a little difficult because, you know, how is my favorite saber supposed to come into existence? But I liked Morgana a bit because not only was she already well versed in the Fae world and its legends, but she was part of an underground group that was giving Fae refugees. And so she kind of had this authority to her, more weight to her words. And you can also see the ambition behind her decisions as she started advising Nimue more often. Like you could see how she's like slowly getting that more power, which I found really, really interesting. Again, I wasn't too interested in the Nimue and Arthur thing because I feel like they kind of botched it a bit. Arthur kept thinking of, you know, best routes for escape and everything, both to help him and Nimue and just him trying to get out of this situation, which, okay, understandable. This isn't Arthur's tale, but just like to see a little bit more of Arthur, not Nimue, who I'm not really interested in. We have this sort of antagonist, I would say, that works for the Red Paladins called the Weeping Monk. He's known to hunt down Fae and everything. We don't see him as much either, which I'm kind of disappointed of. We really don't get his point of view, which I would really enjoyed. But they name drop this kind of in the middle of the book, and you find out that he's Lancelot. So I'm like, we got a slight mention of Tristan. We know Bors, who in this book is a douche. We have Arthur. We have Lancelot. And we're gonna get another name drop eventually. So I'm just like thinking, hello, hello. Because I'm thinking this certain character is either the character I'm thinking about or is a completely different character. So I'm not really sure on that, because we find out that the rebel leader is Nimue's childhood friend. Did pronounce it Gawain, but I kept pronouncing it Gawain. So is that the same character from Arthur's Round Table that I'm thinking about? I don't know. But yes, he is known as the Green Knight, and he is working with the group, such as with Morgana, that's bringing in all of these refugees. Now, after doing all of his scheming, because, you know, Merlin got the fire, but he's also made a king of the Leper King, but then he also gets captured by Uther's people, but he also gets saved at the last minute because of a hawk carrying a note from Nimue and everything. It's like going back and forth, back and forth. He's eventually gonna go to the Viking Kings, who is actual blood relations to the original Uther Pendragon, because Uther died as an infant and this isn't the real Uther. There's a lot of things going on with Merlin that he eventually finally does get a moment to talk with Nimue to see if he can get the sword. And what I found was, like, you know, should have been a real moment. I just felt it was like too meh, was that we find out that Merlin is Nimue's real father, and that's because we had like maybe a few paragraphs before the meeting of someone asking, did your mother usually lie to you? And they went back and forth, so that made like click in Nimue's mind, like, oh wait, and my mom has, you know, always been keeping these secrets. Where's the secrets of my birth and all that stuff? And she flashed back to about her dad, and I'm like, I feel like we could play that a little bit more better, but it's like, okay, she's Merlin's daughter, which sounds interesting if we're going to the Arthurian Legends, so I'm not gonna get into that. That meeting is a go also misunderstanding. You can see that I'm like skipping a lot of things, because for this big book, we do get a few things, but it just kind of goes flat. for some things that aren't really important. I mean, there's a scene where Arthur runs away, but he comes back at the last minute to save everyone. But besides that, I'm just like, possible scheming, just didn't feel that very important. So as you can see, I'm skipping a lot of stuff. Now, the Red Paladins do find out the hideout, but at the same time, Nimue and team decide to go attack a town, reclaim it, and just hold on there for like a couple of days until they can regroup and try to escape more. Gawain or Gawain chases some Red Paladins that are fleeing, and he comes across the Weeping Monk, and they battle. And that's where we find out that Weeping Monk is Fae, which I felt like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with the TV show. And when the Weeping Monk takes Gawain to the Red Paladins for information, he is surprised that he doesn't give up information about him. And it's like, that should place a seed of doubt in your mind about your relationships to these paladins, especially when this character, Squirrel, who we saw in the beginning, partially in the middle, and at the end, this little kid, Fae kid, shows up to try to save Gawain, and it doesn't work out so well, and the Weeping Monk's like, you know, just let him go. He's a kid, and Father Carter doesn't take that to heart, and I think that's where he turns, in a way. I can see the internal conflict in him a little bit, especially how we got like maybe one point of view, and you can understand like he has a connection to the nature force that hit him, because he kept mentioning how he feels like a serpent in his belly, and that's how Nimue explained how she would feel her connection to the hidden. So it's like he had internal conflict, and I guess that one conversation with Gawain or Gawain and seeing Squirrel again, it's like, I guess that just helped in a way. Now with them surrounded, Nimue is getting interesting deals, especially for the help of Merlin. She can either go with the Ice King, the one that has the real claim to the Pendragon throne, because we found the midwife that can confirm the story. And the deal is that if she surrenders the sword herself, she will be spared and live out the rest of her days in dungeon. Or she can go with Uther, who's same thing, but in return, she gets ships to help her people. Merlin suggests that she goes with the Ice King because, you know, more control, I guess, over there. But she decides to go get the ships, so she goes with King Uther's plan. And this is where I'm like, Morgan, your ambition is showing just a little bit, because she has a moment where she's trying to think of ways for Nimue to not only save herself with the sword, but Nimue's got a plan, because while Arthur is going to make sure the Fae kind are transported safely to the ships, Nimue gives Morgan the sword. He's like, hey, hold on to it. If I give you a signal, either run or bring it to me. So we got a plan. We got a plan. Which plans fall very easily because nothing goes according to plan. Nimue, as part of the ship, she demands that Gawain and Squirrel are brought to her, and then she'll give, you know, the sword to Uther. Well, they do bring one, and that's Gawain or Gawain, and he dies. That's not part of the plan. Arthur gets the Fae people to the ships, but they're attacked by Vikings, by the Ice King. That's not going to plan. The Weeping Monk saves Squirrel, but he gets jumped by the Pope's people, the Trinity Guard, and he's about to die. That's not going according to plan either. And let's see, Morgan is captured, I believe, to Russian to save Nimue, and Father Carden gets the sword. So nothing goes according to plan, people. But again, we have the moments of the gods to help us, because first of all, we had some Vikings in the cells back at the city that Nimue releases, and like you have the things of the Red Spear. So Arthur gets saved by the Vikings of the Red Spear, so we have allies. Nimue manages to get the sword back from Father Carden and uses it to finally get her revenge. Yay. The Weeping Monk does flee with Squirrel. He does survive, and that's where we find out that Squirrel's real name is Percival. So we got Lancelot and Percival, two knights, a mention of Tristan, Arthur, Bors, and he wasn't really a plot or anything. But when we see Arthur's point of view with the Red Spear, we find she says that her name is Guinevere. Ah! We have our players, people. If they want to do a sequel for this book, we have our players. And while Nimue and Morgan and Merlin are on the run, there's this one character that kind of slithered her way into the Fae hideout and got some people to like her, to do things that she needed to do because she was working for the Red Paladins, but she got burned and everything, so, you know, she pretended to be Fae kind. Well, that was Sister Iris, the slithery little snake, and she kills Nimue at the end. She falls into the water, so let to the lake, people. And Merlin, who lost his magic because of the sword Excalibur, he gets it back after touching the sword, and we have a great lightning show as he protects Morgan and they disappear. And the book ends with Sister Iris becoming part of the Trinity Guard. We don't know what happens with Arthur and everyone else. Merlin and Morgan just into thin air, and Nimue's body is found by the Leper King's men, and that's how the book ends. Are you serious? I mean, if you do want to do a sequel, which I don't think they will do, you already have your key players in there. We finished the Lady of the Lake story, so we can probably begin Arthur's story because, again, I'm not really too big of a fan of Nimue, and I wasn't really all for the weird forced love thing between Nimue and Arthur. It just felt really weird. I could see them more as friends because they literally just met and now they're in a time of crisis and they need to work together, so I wasn't all for that. The point of view jumping was a little jarring, especially for characters that had no point whatsoever in the story. Again, it felt more cinematic, so that's probably why. I was more interested in the side characters, the Weeping Monk, maybe Arthur, just a little bit, but just because, you know, it's Arthur. I want to see if he grows into something. He really doesn't. And it was a good read. Pass the time. That's as far as I can get into the book. Cursed by Thomas Wheeler. 3 out of 5 stars. Now, let's get into the TV series. Just as much problems. Did they fix any? I don't believe they got all of it. Oh my god, the TV series. I kind of felt the same way I felt reading the book. Can we move along, people? That's not a good sign. The pros, I'm a little lack for words on that one. Scenery maybe, the lore, the costume design. Some of the actors that I did enjoy, because the older actors, such as the characters that were playing Merlin, Uther, Father Cardan, they were actually taking some dialogue from the book where I was like pointing it out. I was like, hey, 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 hey. Oh, I call it. I know it. I see it. I gotcha. I gotcha. I did like Father Cardan because you could see his devoutness to his mission, as well as when you could see when he was in a moment of trouble. It's like, I like the actor. I also like the actor that played Merlin because, hello, it's Floki. You could see the Flokiness in him every now and again, but you could see actual conflict and trouble that he was going through, both outside and internally, that I was able to actually connect more with this Merlin than the book. I was actually interested in the widow because we didn't see her that much in the book, but in the movie you could actually feel, I guess, her sympathies towards Merlin because she has more connection to death, so she knows what's gonna happen, and I guess she still has attachments to Merlin, that she has a heart out for him. Morgan, her name was changed to Morgana, but again, going by which legends you go. This is gonna be a con because I did not like what they did to her character, because the Morgan in the book, again, she felt like she had more authority because she actually worked hard for it. But in the TV show Morgana, they did leave her in the convent for reasons. And the information that she had and stuff in the book, we found out from Father Cardan in the show because he had gathered it and he was like dialoguing it for Nimue to overhear at the convent because Arthur left her there. I did not like that at all. I felt like they took what made Morgana special and gave it to someone else, and they copped out with a weird dark god giving her the sight to see the dead or something and making her more a little tainted. So it's like, are we going through that path, through that route? Because I don't like it at all. I don't like what they did to Morgana. Arthur, conflicted, but for the actor, That's Horatio from Ophelia, which I kind of did enjoy the film, but that was Horatio, who I felt was wronged at the end. So I was like, oh my god, he's playing Arthur. I'm all for this. But, okay. There are 2 episodes I didn't like in this show, which felt like filler episodes that had no point to the plot. And that was episode 3 and I believe episode 7. Episode 3 just showed Arthur leaving Nimue at the convent and taking the sword. He said he's going to go fulfill a promise. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to show it to his dying father or to his father's grave, because we found out about that in the book, to show him the sword and promising, like saying, I was going to show you this one day, here's my promise, and he's going to leave and come back. But no, they took the character of Arthur to be a thief, to strike his honor back, to enter a tournament, to regain honor. I did not like that whatsoever. While Nimue is stuck in the convent with Sister Iris, who's a nun that's at the convent and now already working for the Cardin and the Paladins, and just being a weird child that just stares. And it's a little creepy. And we're just there at the convent with the weeping monk checking to see who is really Nimue or not. I did not like that episode at all. I did not. As well as I did not like episode 7, which I believe after the meeting with Merlin, because it felt too Lord of the Rings. And just had to give a moment to show that, oh, Morgana got touched by a dark god, to foresee that she will become the most powerful sorceress in all of Britannica and everything. And that was it. I did like the scenes with Arthur and Gawain, because, or Gawain, that's how they pronounce it, because we do find him. He wasn't really looking Green Knight-ish, but we had these funny moments with them that's like, this doesn't feel romantic whatsoever, the triangle, because even Gawain admits she's like a little sister to me. It's like he felt more overprotective as a big brother. So it's like, Arthur, you're not dying with a rival here, you're dying with a brother. So that kind of felt interesting, because they're just like butting heads. Both because Arthur is human and he is giving out things that's saying, hey, we used to do this on the road, while Gawain is more thinking, these are fae, we gotta do things my way. So it's just 2 different mindsets clashing. We just gotta figure a way to, you know, come to an even ground and work with things, which they kind of did. There are some characters that were mentioned in the book and were either put for different plot points or different places that just didn't really help out. One was one of the Tusk Fae that was a translator for the leader of the Tusks and for Nimue's team. He was just written as this scrawny little kid that's gonna follow Arthur around. I did get attached for a second, then he dies. Like, god damn it! Squirrel had more of a role in this. I didn't like the dialogue that they had given him, because it felt too forced for a little kid actor, but I liked how he was going around helping people. Pym, the friend I had mentioned earlier that was Nimue's friend who supposedly died in the book, I didn't think how her character story, side story, would play into this TV show, and I thought it was very irrelevant. But that's how we got to meet the Red Spear earlier on, and I have to admit, if we had followed Pym's story, I would have been more entertained, because we had this funny little scene where she's pretending to be the healer, because they're like, she's Fae, but she's like, I'm also a healer. Never lost the patience. So she's trying to think on her feet, and it's really funny because we have these Vikings coming in, and she's like, what ails you? And one guy has like 2 arrows in his back, the other guy has like a bone popping out saying, can you just push it back in so I can go back fighting? And one guy's like saying, I've been having dark thoughts of late, and she's like, I'm listening. And as for the guy with the arrows, he's like, the old healer used to just clip him. Well, you have me. Pop. I got one. And the guy's like, and it's like, you know, that's the end of it. Like, I was very entertained about that. Especially when she also gave information to the Red Spear saying, well, you're already robbing people that already got robbed. Just go rob the Red Paladins. It's like, idea. And they do tie it back in, because those were the Viking prisoners that Nimue did meet at the castle that they took, that apparently was Arthur's uncle's castle. But I thought that plot had no meaning whatsoever for the series, but I was very entertained and I would have liked to see more of that. The Weeping Monk, people, oh my god, his name, what was it, Daniel Sherman? Teen Wolf, the originals, and now Cursed. This guy gave more life to the Weeping Monk than I would have thought was possible, because we saw the conflict in him, especially when he saw Squirrel. And we saw his doubts and everything. We saw facial expressions where the moments where that very split second he was conflicted until following what he was given orders to do. I was like, oh my god. Especially when he had this talk with Gawain, like you could see the struggle in him. And when he had that moment with Father Cardin that was reinforcing, you were demon born, but I took you in. I made you God's strongest weapon. And it's like, if we had more of him, of Merlin, of the Weepy Monk storyline, I would have been entertained for this show all the way around. But we got the weird story between Nimue and Arthur, so I'm like, okay, I'll deal with this, including those filler episodes. As for the actress that did play Nimue, I just feel like the directors, producers, and the screenwriters, they were working with very thin material in a way because, again, not really much happened once we get to a certain level. And they were just rolling with it. They were like, okay, we just gotta go with things. That they just had really badly written dialogue, you know? They just didn't have that much material to work with, so I don't blame the actors on this. I just blame the writers on this because, again, they were just like working with not much to go with. They're trying to adapt things from Cursed where some things just didn't make sense. The Sister Iris thing, the Pam thing, I'm just throwing that in there because it just came out of nowhere. The Arthur weird arc, my mind is going blank because I'm actually trying to recall things from the show because, again, I was like, you know, just watching it. The transitions, they were colorful. I don't know, they should have been in there. And that's pretty much it. Again, I'm just drawing a big blank. Nimue found the sword, met Merlin, had a few scuffles, found Morgana, met Gawain, and stuff happened. Merlin, big reveal, father. And again, you saw that he was more. That's what I just like liked about so much about Merlin because he actually had moments where he realized that Nimue was his daughter, and the widow had said that you will feel suffering like never before, and she had shown that it was Nimue that was about to die, and he was like, not her. You could feel that pain in him. I was like, oh my god, Merlin. But one of the biggest things that I felt like, how could you do this? Because maybe for a second season, I don't know. What they did to Morgana, I was like, you had her dead lover come back to be touched by a dark god, and like, come, and everything. But she's like, no, I'm gonna go save Nimue when she got captured. But to verbally say and not show us that she killed the widow who she's been seeing, and the widow warned her not to interfere, and to become the new widow? Why? Y'all said she was going to become a dark, powerful sorceress. You saw her starting to lean a little to the dark side after giving her weird dark power. I thought she was about to start doing necromancy, but no. Y'all made her the new widow. Why? But then again, I'm also the person I was thinking in that episode 7 of Arthur unleashing some weird form of magic that he kept hidden all this time to save the team, because that would have been very great and cinematic, because I was like thinking, like, you know, moments, but that's just me thinking, or, I don't know. I was thinking about a lot of things, like a banshee scream to save people, Arthur, like, being a real dragon or something, I don't know. I was entertaining myself with all these thoughts, but Morgana, I am angry about. And I feel a little bit cheated because the Red Spirit did come and save Arthur and the team, and she never revealed her true name, which is Guinevere. Were y'all planning to release that for the second season? Because I don't know. I feel iffy about this getting a second season because I have to say, for a TV show, if I was just watching it just to watch it and actually fast forwarding scenes, I feel like they could have done more with this story. Again, not much stuff to work with, especially for the main characters. Side characters, they had more development going on in the story. But for a TV show, I have to say, my opinion, because again, I'm just pulling up blanks for what actually happened in the show that were part of the book and then just went nowhere. And the changes that they did, I gotta give the show a 2 out of 5 stars. But for an adaptation, for all the veering off that they did and the stuff they kind of kept close to the book, I should give it the adaptation a 3 out of 5 stars. So the book, 3 out of 5 stars. TV show, 2 out of 5 stars. Adaptation, 3 out of 5 stars. If they were to do a second season, because they're hinting so hard about a second season, I'll watch it just to see where they go from there. And if not, I don't feel like I'm going to be losing a week of sleep. If they do a second book, I'll read it just to see how they do it. Maybe finally go into the Arthur Legends, because we need to reclaim this boy. He needs a redemption arc whatsoever, because how they writ him out, But if they don't do a second book, again, I'm not losing a lick of sleep. And yeah, Cursed. Both the book and the TV show. My name is Sarah, and bye!